This is the Rest of Everest video podcast, an almost unabridged expedition experience. Episode 49, May 21st, Camp 4.
Hey, you.
Well, hello again, everyone. Welcome back to the Rest of Everest video podcast. I'm John Miller. We are deep into the summit push this week, and really happy to be joined by two guys who summited on this expedition. Ben Clark out in Telluride. How you doing, Ben?
Good, John. Thanks.
Nice to have you back on the show. And fortunate enough, again, this week to be joined by Lawang Downdup out in California. How you doing, Lawang?
I'm good, thanks.
This week, we are going to break from tradition, and we are going to start with some climbing footage. And I think all of you are going to enjoy that. This week, we're climbing up to the high camp. So it's some pretty intense footage, and you can see that it is not an easy endeavor by any stretch of the imagination. So let's get right into the climbing footage. Let's head up to about 7,900 meters on the north side of Everest. Here we go. All right, so this is, I'm guessing, above the 7,900 meter camp. And actually, in the red in the middle of the screen, I think was Ben. Some of the few bit of footage that we have of Ben climbing, Lawang, I'm sure, was behind him or in front of him.
This was the Chinese guys. These guys kept stalling out pretty hard. You remember that one guy? He had the yellow boots on, just always stopping, bent over. Like, man, this guy, in the center there, he's the guy furthest right that you can see.
Go.
I think this is a Spanish climber.
Yeah, I think he's Catalonian. I mean, I
Catalonian,
yeah. Yeah. That's some Spanish guy up on the snowfield before the summit. It wasn't him.
Oh, thank you.
Was he climbing without oxygen? Or was he just not using it yet?
Money.
He's pretty without for now.
So how high do you think we are here?
Probably about 26,800 feet, maybe.
Something like that. Yeah, it's pretty close to the camp, last camp. That's kind of like right after 7-8 and traverse, and then there's like a section kind of like Couloir.
There was like a little. This is right before we saw the Ross Kelly. You came across this, and then there was like a little ledge above it, and then from there it's kind of a straight shot up and around it.
Now, everyone, this is Ben and Lawang. That's Ben in the front. Lawang's right in back, both in red. That's Ben heading towards us right now. Ben, do you remember so what's it like up there? Like, I see you taking a step and then hanging out and taking a step. Like, what's it feel like?
Feel heavy. Felt really good with that bottle of oxygen on, that's for sure. That helped a lot. Felt warm, at least, because of that, I think. And then, yeah, you're just moving really slow. I mean, that looks fast to me for up there, but most of the time I thought I was moving pretty slow.
I hear you laughing, Lawang. What are you laughing at?
No, just looking at, like, I haven't seen this.
Hi, Ben.
Hey. You gotta love climbing.
Yeah, these are Russian guys shot this. That's me crossing in front of that guy. It's a nice day, though.
You from summit? Couldn't make it. Russian rock.
I remember like John and Jazz coming back from the summit, and John like broke his crampon. I was mentioning that thing earlier on the episode, saying like it's kind of like really difficult because a lot of mid climb, like you can't really take off your crampon, but when you have a crampon, it's not really kind of like comfortable on like rocks, and so that's why like the north side is, in some ways, it's tougher because of the lot of mixed climb, and all the technical section comes above like 8,000 meters.
Now, that looks really steep. Is that as steep as it looks? Looks like you guys are all leaning really far into the hill.
Yeah, I think it's not vertical, but it's pretty. There's a couple of steps that feel, like 30, 35 degrees, but I don't think it ever got out of hand like 45 or 50. That's the guy that kept stopping all the time. It was like 2 steps, and then he just put his head down on an axe, probably.
Okay, so I got to ask the question, why can't you just go around them?
Oh, you can. I did. That's what he kept doing. He got like 30 people behind there following him. It just seemed to me like everyone's following the same thing. I mean, you're all on that rope, and as long as you're dependent on that thing to keep you on, then you're always going to have to wait. Whoever's the weakest person in the line is the person who's going to dictate the pace.
Вот они, последние метры к палатке. 8300.
So what we're looking here is
Молодец.
our St. Petersburg friend Vova is filming, and he's filming Andre. And these guys were climbing without oxygen. And that looks, that's Andre coming up.
Какой пейзаж.
Very labored pace there, it looks.
О, облака.
Beautiful up there.
Все гораздо ниже, чем мы находимся.
So at this point, you guys are pretty much higher than any other peak besides K2, right?
В одиночестве.
I think so, yeah.
Есть лагерь
It was Kanchenjunga is what, 27.8?
на 100.
I think Kanchenjunga is
Kanchenjunga is like
С Андрюхой его видно.
8,606 something, right?
yeah,
meters.
So.
So yeah.
Очень тяжело.
So it's not higher than a lot of like it's not higher than Kanchenjunga. It's not higher than the Lotte.
Yeah.
I think it's higher than Makalu. Makalu is like 8.5, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Definitely higher. Yeah, definitely higher than Summit of Choyu. Summit of Choyu is like 8.2 something.
Yeah, and you guys are about 8.3, 8.4 here?
8.3.
8.3.
8.3.
Yeah. That's not a bad spot for camp. God, it's so high.
Yeah, the good thing about the south side, like that, once you get to the south col, it's like flat, so you don't have to worry about like campsites. And over here, you have to make ledge and set up. It's okay.
But this camp's not really used for sleeping. It's pretty much just a point to get out of the wind in a tent and
Чё, силы-то
melt
есть
some
пускай?
water to get ready for your summit push, right?
People do spend at least like that's the guy who broken
Yeah,
leg.
that's
English
Conan.
guy, right?
Yep, that's Conan, and he's
He's really lucky to be able to make it.
yeah. Just as an aside here, everyone, this we've mentioned Conan in some previous episodes, and he broke his leg up high, I think on around the first or second step, and he was able, with some help, I know the Royal Navy aided in his rescue, but got him down, and I think he got down by just scooting along on his butt, which, as I understand it, is one of the only ways you can really be rescued from up high is if you can move yourself with some help. So he did it. He got down, and he's okay.
Yeah, it's like a broken leg.
So here's night setting.
Yeah.
And this is the next day, and I believe that is leading up to the second step.
Yep. That's actually the first step, isn't it? Yeah.
Okay,
Looks
that's
like the first step.
that's
Second step is a
Second step in the middle of your screen.
yeah. So okay, here's the ridge, and you can see about 3 different lumps along that ridge. they're all about equal distances apart, and the first, second, and third step. And obviously this is being shot down from base camp. And this was the morning of the 22nd of May, and you can see that it's fairly windy up there. And pretty early on, it looked clear, at least from base camp. But well, you guys were there. The conditions deteriorated rapidly, didn't they?
Oh yeah.
A bit.
I remember
Right.
like once we get to the like above second step, like the wind were blowing really hard, and
Yeah.
wind were coming through like the eyes, and like all the goggles get clogged, and it was pretty tough.
Yeah. It wasn't ideal, but the route goes.
Yeah. Just Boca Lama tried to hold it off.
Yeah, we were down here at base camp trying to get in touch with you guys, and Boca and Dawa, but they both worked the radios. As I say in the film, they worked the radios relentlessly because they were constantly trying to get in touch with you guys. Because you'll see in just a second how bad it started to look, and I'd never seen Boca look very concerned. He's a pretty happy guy, but he was looking kind of nervous this morning, and he's wearing some new pants that he had just bought at the little shanty town at base camp, and he was really happy about his pants. But then you look at Everest, and hey, where's the summit?
Yeah.
Obviously, the weather was bad, and it looked like it was bad only on the summit. And then here's a little time lapse I shot, and you can see that it really closed in. And yeah, so what was it like up high?
Windy, cold, just like
It
Lama.
was windy and cold, yeah.
Hmm. It would blow really hard, and then we couldn't wear our goggles, so you'd have all the snow, all the loose snow from the north face sweeping up the north face and then hitting us in the face, and then your eyelashes would freeze together, and so you'd have to pick the snow out of your eyelash before you could start moving again. It's brutal. And then we had on, lots of clothes, the full down suit and all that good stuff, but it was still really cold. Like my left foot started freezing, and I got a little bit of frostbite. And then Long, you and Lachlan both frostbite your hands, didn't you?
Yeah, we got a little bit because we fixed another line on the second step, like put a new line. There was a bunch of like lot of raw been fixed, but didn't look so good. Like we thought it like we was carrying, yeah, because we had like we were carrying this like a 9mm chunk of rope, so we thought we might use it. So set it up and then took up like a gloves for like a few seconds and boom,
Yeah.
frozen it.
Dehydrated and you're hungry. And I remember how surprised you guys were when I pulled out that bottle of water up there. It had like one liter in my backpack, and it had like it had frozen almost to the core, but you could still drink a little bit out of it. And that was what was left. It was cold. Really cold day.
It's difficult. We want to know. We just want
What
to know.
we're looking at here is we're looking at that's Dima. He's the Russian doctor from the St. Petersburg team. Every
I
team
feel
was
like-
having difficulties getting in touch with their climbers.
Then we'll summit, and I will not know until tomorrow that he. Oh, thank you. No. And I will not know until tomorrow that he made it today.
And no Buddhism,
No communication.
no
Nothing.
communication. Yeah. He asked me 1 hour before to contact 1 hour. But maybe it's altitude.
It's quite difficult.
Maybe he cannot tell the time up there.
Maybe strong wind, maybe cold, maybe it's just little.
No oxygen.
Yeah, no oxygen.
Like a child.
He can't forget.
He's trying to get in touch with his climbers who were, of course, climbing without oxygen, and he was concerned that they were losing their minds. And he's Dima was
Питер, база на
very
связи,
worried about his
прием.
climbers throughout the entire expedition. He was a very conscientious guy, and he was always worried about his climbers' health. I've never been so impressed by someone's concern for his fellow teammates and everything.
I hope Siberians are okay. They have no radio. No
Only
radio.
one radio for 3 person.
Same as the.
Это Николай.
Yeah, they were on the snowfield coming up when we had already come out across the face and were coming on our way down. And I remember running into Kolya and saying, "Hey, what's up, man?" He just was staring off into space.
Давай, Колька, поздравляю, обнимаю, целую. Молодец, супер. СК до 15:30.
СК 15:30.
Все.
So this is him. He did manage to call from the summit. And I don't speak Russian, none of us do, but he was the only one from their team that summited.
Ну так, надо аккуратно, да. Можно будет дойти до него.
What's he saying?
He feel okay.
Yeah, the weather condition on the summit day wasn't really good. I would, yeah.
But what are you gonna do? That was kind of my thing. Once we were on the second step, I was like, there's no way I'm doing that again.
There's not a whole lot. The only cool thing about that summit day was we met, I met a couple of Sherpa whom I know from the previous expedition. So they were coming summited from the south side, and we just met there and picnicked and took some pictures. That's about it. But other than no view, nothing.
Yeah. That was cool.
Here we're in the Indian Army camp. They had the best radio, and that was good news for me that he summited, because that meant that people could summit that day, because I didn't know if anyone was going to be able to make it. I thought you guys were gonna, this was your second summit attempt, and I thought you guys were going to get turned back by the weather, and that was going to be it. We're just going to have to go home. But Ben, you mentioned that you saw Kolya and then he was looking out of it. Well,
yeah.
As I recall, Dima told me later, after Kolya had returned to base camp, he spoke with, the two had a chat, sort of a debriefing, and Kolya thought he was with both of his teammates the entire time, even though they had stopped at a traffic jam at the second step. They had gotten too cold. He thought he was with them the entire time because he was hallucinating it, because he was so short on oxygen. And it just, he really was out of it. But
yeah, he was. He was just kind of like, oh, he kind of didn't recognize or say anything. I was like, all right, see you, Kolya. Just kept going down.
I also want to mention that in the footage here, you guys don't see Lakba, but there is a third person on this team, and he just didn't make it into any shots at all. We don't have any footage of Lakba, but he was there with them. And Ben, you told me, didn't Lakba chuck his goggles off the...
Yeah. He was through with those things, man. He just threw them off. It's true.
He just couldn't see out of them, huh? And it was too much frustration?
No, he was just done with it and threw them off. I was like, yep, I hear you.
All right. Well, next episode, everyone, we're going to come to the culmination of the effort that's put forth to get up to the summit. And I will give it away. We do make the summit. So got some pictures from there. And thanks a lot for joining me on this episode, guys. I'm really fortunate to have you guys provide the commentary.
No problem, John. Thanks for having us.
Pleasure.
All right. So again, everyone, I'm going to try to get these guys back for next episode. And one last thing, if you've watched this episode, the first episode you've ever watched of the rest of Everest, stop, go back to episode 0 and watch it all the way forward. There's a lot more to this expedition than the summit, and you'll see that there's a lot more that happens, and the summit's only a small part of the expedition. So, all right, everyone, that's it for this week. We will see you next week with the summit of Everest. Bye. The rest of Everest is downloaded all over the world every week. If you enjoy watching and would like to show your support, then take a look at my website. Aside from having lots of additional blog entries from the expedition, updated every week, there's this little donation button on every page. Now, many of you have pressed that button, and your generous contributions are helping to cover my hosting fees. If you haven't donated but would like to, then just contribute any amount. In return, I'll give you access to the video and audio dispatches I sent out while we were actually at Everest. It's pretty interesting stuff. Contribute $25 or more, and I'll even throw in an iPod-compatible version of the film Everest: The Other Side. That's the project the entire podcast here is based on. As always, our announcer is Marlon May, and our music is provided by Wendy Wu. Check her out at wendywu.com. Thanks so much, everyone, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you for watching The Rest of Everest. For more information on the expedition, please visit therestofeverest.com.